we interpret the data, and the pertinent information is derived from that, and it is applied for the purpose of management decision making. So this type of research can, of course, be used for the purpose of solving problems, and it can also be used for the purpose of, say, identifying business opportunities. Because remember that an opportunity for you, sorry, an opportunity for you, or say, for example, for your business, may be a threat for your competitors. So this is how exactly, in simple terms, we can define it. Then see, when, for example, we are generating information, remember that information has to be communicated to the right person in the organization, and the right person may not be a single entity. For example, at times in organizations we have a well-defined research division, or for example, there are certain individuals who are assigned the task of taking care of the research activity. So sometimes they themselves carry out the research activity, or at times what they may be doing is that this may be outsourced if they find out that they are not competent to carry out the research activity. So in case of organizations encountering problems, what they may do is that they may themselves carry out research activity, or at times they may outsource this research activity. But remember that research does not guarantee success. What you have to do is that you have to see to it that whatever information that is being provided to you by the research organization, that should be used in an intelligent manner, and then only you should expect that we may be able to address the problems which the organization is facing, or maybe properly capitalize on the opportunities which are emerging. Then see, what are the issues that organizations today are facing as far as business research or business decision making is concerned. See, there are so many variables that we have to deal with. Another issue is that there are so many competitors who are currently there, who surround you. Then there is, in fact, you can say, a type of knowledge explosion which is happening, and it's happening around us. It's not that it is over. It's there around us. For example, so much of information is floating around. So we have to, in fact, today what we have to do is that we have to, in fact, find out that which information is really relevant from the point of view of the organization, and on which particular piece of information we should not be as such acting upon right now. Then because of internet, what has happened is that the geographies as such have become meaningless, and in fact the concept of time and the concept of distance, we can say that in fact it is gradually evaporating, I can use the term. So so effective business decisions, in short, we can say that they are based on sound information, and the job basically of this is business research, or the people who are tasked with this kind of activity, is to provide the information, and this information has to be provided at the right time. Then remember that when we are talking of business research, we have to understand that decision making, in fact, is basic to or it's all pervasive. In fact, every day we take so many decisions, but the only thing is that we do not take it in a formal manner. Like, for example, the very decision that you took, that whether you should be attending this class or not, it's a decision. For example, getting up in the morning, it's a decision on your part. So this decision making is basic to all of us. So in a way, all of us are managers. In a way, all of us, not only those who are pursuing this program, or we as students of management, but in a way everybody is managing in a way something, and some kind of decision making is required on their part. So we have to be very clear regarding the relationship that exists between the managers and the decision making. And remember that it is so much intertwined. At times what happens is that we tend to use these terms interchangeably. That is, the relationship we say between managers and decision making is so much related that these terms, management managing and decision making, they are used interchangeably. Now, there are two types of research that we should be aware of: basic research and applied research. So when we say basic research, what we are basically alluding to is that we are trying to expand the body of knowledge. So and when we say applied research, in fact, we are trying to solve some problem. For example, the organization in which we are, for example, in which currently you are the manager, so that organization is facing some problem, or for example, you want to identify some kind of opportunities that you think may likely pop up in the near future. So applied research may be undertaken. So the basic difference, in fact, the difference between these two types of researches is that basic research generally helps us understand the topic. It expands the body of knowledge, whereas applied research helps us in solving the problem. And this research is generally carried out from the point of view of a particular organization. And it is expected that whatever is the outcome of that research, it would be of help to the organization in solving the problem which they are facing right now. Then see, if let us look at the examples. See, look at the first example that in the context of basic research. See, the study, for example, that is being carried out or that is carried out by academicians, for example, to measure the differences between high and low performing employees. Now, this is not in the context of a particular organization. Remember, this is not in the context of a particular organization. This kind of activity, this kind of research that is being done. In general, the academician is trying to find out the differences between high and low performing employees. But suppose this kind of activity is carried out in the context of a particular organization to find out that what are the differences between those who are high and low performing relative to the job satisfaction and job turnover. So in that case, this study would turn into an applied research. So let me repeat, if the study is being done from the point of view of solving the problem which a particular organization is facing, that will be termed as applied research. But in case it is being done to expand the body of knowledge or to understand a particular phenomena in general, that would be referred to as basic research. Are there any questions up to this point? Yes, are there any questions up to this point?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir. No, everything is clear. Okay. Now, what is a scientific method? When we say scientific method, if you recall, in the definition itself, we discussed that in a scientific or in a systematic manner, we will be we try to explore, we try to understand. So, see, methods and techniques. See, methods and techniques which are used, for example, by both these types of researchers, that is basic and applied, remember that they are more or less similar. The only thing is that the purpose is different. So both employ scientific methods. And the scientific method, when we say, it may be defined as systematic analysis. When we say systematic analysis, this means that we will be proceeding in a manner which is optimal, which is appropriate from the point of view of that particular situation. And then what we do is that after the system, it entails not only systematic analysis, but the interpretation will be carried out from the empirical evidence that we'll be generating. And the idea would be that we will try to confirm or disprove some prior conceptions. So the scientific method in applied research, remember that what it does is that it helps us that to stick to the objectives of the study. And what it does is that it helps us in winding up the entire research activity in minimum possible time. So applied research uses scientific method in conducting research, and even otherwise also, if you recall in the previous slides we were discussing that as far as basic research is concerned, in that also it is not that we do not do it in a scientific manner, but remember that the idea behind, or for example, when we are carrying out any kind of research activity, we have to see to it that we do it with some kind of logic, we do it with some kind of understanding. There should be, some well laid out procedures that should be followed by us. Because if we do not follow them, then what would happen is that we will be, unnecessarily tying up our resources, and we will not be able to complete the task in the assigned in the time that is being assigned to us. Then, what are the characteristics of good research? When we say characteristics of good research, remember that we have to clearly define the purpose of the research. We have to, before we start with the research, in fact, the problem involved should be very clearly defined. And the best way to do this would be that we write it down, or we commit it to writing. Once we commit it to writing, then things would be clear, not only from the point of view of the research organization or the researcher, but also from the point of view of your client. Now, when I'm using the term client, I'm assuming that you are carrying out applied research, and for that particular research, some kind of remuneration will be given to you, some money will be paid to you. So it will be a sponsored kind of activity. So I think you will agree that when it is a sponsored activity, then what is expected from us is that we should be very clear about what we are expected to do and what are the research objectives, and the client or the manager who has commissioned this study, that entity also should be very clear that how we will be going about doing our research, how we will be helping that entity in solving the problem which they are facing, and whether we have been able to clearly understand the problem itself or not, that we have to convey to the target audience in very clear terms, and that can happen only when we commit it to writing. So then see, explaining clearly, we have to explain clearly the research process also to the target audience, or to the clients, or to the managers who have commissioned the study. So see, procedural details, in fact, if we provide to the target audience, what it does is that it also helps us in estimating the validity and reliability of the data. So we have to use some kind of sound research design for this purpose. We have to remember this. It's not that we can proceed without a proper blueprint before us. So when we say research design, though I'll be discussing this in great detail in a separate section, but at this stage, remember that research design is just like a blueprint. So if we follow a proper research design, what it does is that it helps the researcher to be very objective in carrying out that research, and in fact, it calls for disclosure of all the methods and procedures that we'll be using in a particular study. Now, we should be applying high ethical standards. So when, for example, we are carrying out any study, we have to be, very clear, and we have to very clearly enumerate that how we will be carrying it out. We have to also see to it that it does not cause any kind of physical or psychological harm, or it does not invade the privacy, or it does not lead to loss of dignity as far as our targets are concerned. As far as, for example, the respondents are concerned, I'm repeating that we should be very clear that it should not cause physical harm, it should not cause psychological harm, it should not invade the privacy of the respondents, and it should not in any way lead to loss of dignity as far as our respondents are concerned. So another thing is that we have to be very clear about the limitations of the study that we are carrying out, because remember, no study is free from limitations. No study, in fact, is perfect. No doctoral work is perfect. No research paper is perfect. And similarly, no research is perfect. So we have to acknowledge that our research suffers from certain limitations. Munawwar, please. So if you want to keep your audio switched on, you are most welcome, but then see to it that it doesn't cause any kind of disturbance. I hope I'm audible to all of you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay. If there is, for example, any issue at any point, you want anything to be clarified, you are most welcome to stop me there. Okay? I don't want you to be passive participants in this. What I expect is that there would be queries from your side, because unless there are queries, things won't be clear. I hope you're getting me. So we have to be very clear about the limitations of this study. Then when we commit things to writing and we share it with our client or with the managers or with the group which is basically liaising with us in the organization which has commissioned the study. So if we commit it to writing, then what happens is that they also realize and they also understand whether we have understood their needs satisfactorily or not. Then we have to, because the data has to be classified by us in a way that assists the manager. We have to see to it. So, and for example, why this study was carried out, we should be clear about this. and that would be, we would be clear about this only once we interact with the people in the organization which have commissioned the study, and we have to convey to them the data in a manner, or whatever are the findings of our study, in a manner that assists the managers in for example, reaching the right kind of decision, or reaching the right kind of conclusion. And generally, as a research organization, what we do is that we do not suggest to them one single course of action, because it is for them to decide that which course of action would be most appropriate. So generally what we do is, as a research entity, is that we suggest to them, or we present to them one or two alternative courses of action, and then keeping in mind the organizational constraints, what they do is, what the client does is, they decide that which course of action would be most appropriate from their point of view. And another thing that they may do is, and as research organization, we cannot object to it, and we should not be objecting to it, that they may, for example, go in for a mix of the two courses of action that we are suggesting to them. Now, we have to present our findings in very clear and unambiguous manner. Now, what does this mean, clear and unambiguous manner? Basically, the data that we are trying to share with them, it has to be comprehensive, it has to be easily understood by the manager in the organization, and the manager or the people in the organization should be able to clearly identify the critical findings of our study, and we have to justify the conclusions, and we have to see to it that the conclusions that we are arriving at, it has been done from keeping in mind the research data, keeping in mind what we have generated from the point of view of that study. It is not that we can arrive at conclusions based upon some other work that we did, or maybe some other relying on some other research. So we can provide, of course, our insights, but whatever findings or conclusions we are arriving at, it is expected that we should very clearly enumerate that these are from the point of view of the data that we generated for this particular work. Now, there are different types of decisions, and I'm confident that you must have already heard of these different types of decisions, but let us see that from the point of view of research methods, how we should be interpreting them. So you must have heard of short-term or routine decisions, and tactical decisions, and strategic decisions. See, routine decisions and short-term decisions, they recur periodically, as simple as that. So yesterday I was discussing that in this, as far as the short-term decisions are concerned, because they are not repetitive, they recur periodically. And the thing is that, here, take the case of a clerk, for example. Now, in case of a clerk, what we do is that we generally instruct that if you receive an application of this type, this is how it is to be processed by you. So we instruct, because every time that clerk or that entity will be receiving applications, which will from where they can easily make out that how they have to be processed by on the desk on which that particular individual is sitting. But as far as, say, tactical decisions are concerned, so like another example of this can be, hello.
Yes, sir.
See, something happened. Somebody tried to take control of this particular session. See, that is not appropriate. Somebody just now, because there was some problem on this one. Hello.
Sir, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible, guys.
Sir, actually my slides is not visible to me. I was trying to make it visible.
So is it visible to you now?
No, sir.
Still not visible. Is it visible to others?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It is not visible to me.
Yes, sir. You can try to switch to your gallery mode. In the meeting views, you can try to switch it to gallery. Then probably it will show.
I think there is some other technical issue maybe at your end, and perhaps that is why you are encountering this problem. See, others are able to do it. No problem.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Just a moment. Let me just download your attendance. Okay. So we were discussing these three types of decisions: tactical decisions, routine decisions, and strategic decisions. So see, it is already 11:45 and some of you are joining late. So my advice to you is that please, though I have exchanged this because the other teachers had some engagements, and please let me just share with you that the class would be held. The class would be held, at 12:05. So please do not think that the class has been cancelled. So there will be class, and in fact we exchanged because of the engagements of the other teacher. So okay, let us come back to these routine or short-term decisions. See, routine or short-term decisions, they recur periodically, and that is why what we can do is, as the example for a clerk that I was discussing, that you can develop standard procedures for it. Like for example, see, how much should a purchasing manager reorder the item number such and such. So you know it, that for example how much of it is consumed, keeping in mind your previous experience, and then you can program the computer, or for example you can instruct that particular individual who is the purchasing manager that this is the quantity that we require, and this is the time interval after which it should be ordered. Now, as far as tactical decisions are concerned, see, these are short range, but they are ad hoc and they are not repetitive. See the distinction. In the earlier case, in the case of routine or short term, they were repetitive in nature. They generally recur periodically. But as far as tactical decisions are concerned, they are short range, they are ad hoc, they are not repetitive in nature. So like for example, if your competitor has increased or raised the advertising expenditure, so you have to take a decision, you have to take a call that how you have to respond to it. So the decision maker in this particular division of the organization, they have to decide that how much additional amount has to be spent on promotional activity, and in which territory more of it is required. So and that has to be decided by you, keeping in mind what your competitor is doing, because you are responding to or you are reacting to what your competitor is doing. Or once you have realized that okay, your competitor has suddenly changed, for example, the package design of their product, and it is affecting your sales. Now again, you have to take a call, and you have to decide that how you will be reacting to it. So remember that this is, as far as tactical decisions in the context of say business is concerned, so they generally do not last for a long period of time, the effects of that, or for example that activity. And because of this, what happens is that we are not in a position to in fact carry out research, and then based upon that research arrive at a particular decision. So generally what we do is that in case of tactical decisions, we do not carry out research, but it doesn't mean that we will not be responding to it in a scientific manner. So what is done is that the appropriate division in the organization, or the people who are responsible in that particular department which is supposed to address those issues, what they do is that based upon their past experience, based upon their the earlier for example, or maybe similar situations which other organizations have faced, so based upon their understanding, based upon their experience, they will be reacting to that particular situation. Now, as far as strategic decisions are concerned, as the nomenclature or the term itself conveys to us, so these decisions have long range impact, and they have substantial implications, and they will in fact on them would depend the success or failure of a firm. Like for example, your decision regarding the setting up of the plant, the location of the plant, where exactly the plant or the factory would be located, in which country would it be located, and in that country, in which region of that country will it be located. So that, of course, you will agree that on that would depend the success or failure of a firm. Still people are joining, and some people, I think, they are not enrolled or registered at AMU Online, so perhaps they are trying to enter as guests. So I am allowing, but my advice to all of you who are currently not enrolled with the official portal, the AMU Online portal, is that try to get yourself registered as far as possible, because maybe at some point in time I will not be allowing it. because what it conveys to me is that you are not currently registered as far as the university records are concerned. Again, I'm repeating, try to register yourself so that your name is and whatever correspondence and exchanges we have on this platform, they reach out to you. Any questions regarding this routine, short-term, tactical and strategic decisions? Another example of a strategic decision would be that whether to introduce a new product or not. That would again be a strategic decision. Because you will agree that when you are introducing a new product, for example, in the market, so in that, a lot of money is spent for this activity. Now, in the context of, say, for example, the health facility, suppose you are an entrepreneur or, for example, a business entity and you want to set up a hospital somewhere. So that, again, it would be a strategic decision. Now, that is for the benefit of those who are from MHA, that for setting up a hospital, remember that it's not a short-term or tactical decision. It would be a strategic decision where exactly this facility would be, a health facility should be set up, in which country should be set up, within the country, for example, in the context of our country, which state we should be setting up that facility, and so on. So that all these are examples of strategic decisions. So let us quickly revise. See, routine decisions, they do not require or they do not deserve research. As far as tactical decisions are concerned, they also do not require research, because generally the risks are low and the time horizon is so short that in that short period of time, we will not be able to carry out a study and arrive at any meaningful inferences or conclusions. Now, strategic decisions generally are decisions which require a lot of inputs as far as research from the point of view of research, and they are likely to justify and demand research. Now, who all are involved in business research? See, the major involvement is of decision maker, or we can say the manager in the organization, and in fact, whose decisions would be guided by the information which is sought or which is provided to that individual. So researcher undertakes, in fact, or directs a specific activity. Now, when we talk of decision maker in large organizations, remember that these, we have a well-defined research division which is supposed to carry out researches, and they are separated because the managers as such, they lack the time and the special training, for example, for carrying out research. So you have a separate division, let me repeat, in large organizations for conducting research. So because see, we should not assume that every researcher, every manager in the organization would be competent to carry out research or to direct research or to plan out research. So for that, if you have a separate division, that research activity would be handled by that research division, and whatever is the outcome of the research, that would be passed on in a manner that is easily understood by the manager in the organization, and based upon that, the managers or their team would decide. Then see, some critical decisions, they are performed by the decision maker and the manager. And it is expected that they should not be totally blank as far as what how research is done. But when I was saying that generally in large organizations, managers are not involved at the initial level, what it meant was that, see, because for example, research, if you're carrying out research, you may have to use some kind of statistical tools, and maybe that particular manager may not be very be an expert as far as use of those tools are concerned. So so from that point of view, I think you'll appreciate that we have to, or the research division of that organization or the research department of that large organization, once it has carried out the research, it will be providing the inputs in a manner that are easily understood by their clients. Now, by this client, I mean the managers within the organization. So the other thing is that from importance and frequency of appearance, the cause and the decisions can be placed, in different categories. See, we can, for example, look at the activity that is carried out by the researcher from the point of view of business research. So we have to see to it that a researcher is that entity who directs the research project, and generally this person is supposed to be an expert in that area. The person should have sound knowledge. The person should be honest. The person should provide maximum help to the client or the entity which has commissioned the study. They should in fact be interacting on a regular basis with the managers in the organization, and this particular individual, the researcher or the research team, should be true to the profession. Now, by this, what we mean is that they should not be cutting corners. They should not be biased. They should not be presenting findings, in a manner which is very difficult to comprehend. And remember that. Okay, just a moment. See, so these are the qualities which are expected in a researcher, but remember that it is very difficult to adhere to all these qualities, and for this at times you have to forego maybe a particular activity that your client wanted to do for him or her, and at times you have to be very stern, you have to be very strict, and you have to very clearly say no, we cannot do it. Now, by this what I mean is there are scenarios where research organizations have been asked to prepare a report which for example is in a particular direction. Let me use the term, which is in a particular direction, which is a biased kind of report, and this report was desired by the people who in fact commissioned the study, and this desired report was not the actual report that you arrived at based upon the data that you generated and based upon your findings. So if your client wants that you should be cutting corners and you should be presenting a biased report, then you have to put your foot down, and then you have to say that no, we will not be agreeing to this, for the simple reason that if you once agree to it, and remember, the news travels very fast as far as the business world is concerned, and once the people come to know that you as a research organization can prepare reports which are tutored reports or reports which are biased and which are to the liking of your client, so then you will be, in the long run, you will be losing business. It would be creating a lot of problems from your point of view. Yes, Keshu, you want to ask anything?
Yes, sir.
Keshu?
Sir, yes, sir. In the very slide, sir, it is written that a researcher is generally a technical expert, and it is also written that.
Yeah.
And
See,
he should have. Yes, sir.
Yes. Please repeat the complete what you want to ask.
So actually, my question is that, suppose if a manager is having a good sound knowledge or having a sound knowledge of management process management, but he is not that much technical expert of it.
Yes.
So would he still be a for the organization?
Keshu, do not confuse. We are talking of researcher. Researcher and manager are two different entities for us. The manner in the context in which we are discussing right now. So the manager is different from a researcher. Okay, let me just show to you how we started. See, we were discussing that who all are involved in business research. We were discussing that we have two entities. We have the researcher and we have the decision maker. Fine. So the decision maker is the manager. Researcher is not the manager.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Am I clear to you?
Yes, sir.
I think there was a confusion that whether we are referring to a manager or the researcher.
Yes, sir.
I think, Keshu, perhaps what I could not convey earlier was that when we are, it is mentioned here that he's in general a technical expert. So this we are using in the context of researcher. This is not being used in the context of manager.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so you are very right. A manager may be an expert as far as management processes are concerned, but the manager may not be technical expert from the point of view of research that is being carried out.
Yes, sir.
Okay, a manager, for example, you may be very good as far as concepts are concerned, as from business concepts are concerned, you may be very good at your business, but as such, you may not be having the sound knowledge as far as research processes are concerned. Now, I'm not saying management processes, research process is concerned, research design is concerned, research, various tools which are used for the purpose of analyzing the data that we are generating. You may not be very good at designing the questionnaire, for example, or the research instrument from the point of view of business research. I hope now I'm clear.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So, see, we have, let me repeat that what we discussed previously was that there are two entities basically which are involved, researcher and the decision maker. So decision maker is the manager. Again, there is some problem. Hello.
Yes, sir.
There was again somebody who tried. I think there is some problem. Somebody again tried to take the control. If there is any technical issue, please share with us. Is there anybody who's facing some problems? Somebody is saying there are two meetings now. How can there be two meetings?
So it is happening because we are not familiar with this platform.
It is happening because, yes, please.
So we are not familiar with this platform.
You are? Please be louder.
Not familiar with this platform.
Okay, okay. No, just if you are facing any problems in, see, I am also, let me confess, I am also not very familiar with this. In fact, I have started using just maybe 3 or 4 days back. But why I've switched to this particular platform is that it is a platform which is being provided by our university. First thing. The second is that it is feature rich. So once we understand, we will not, of course, be facing problems. But right now, the idea is that once we switch, gradually we both will learn. You will also learn. I will also learn. Is it okay? Now again, somebody has done something funny, and the presentation is over. Huh? Waris Hussain. Waris, you have somehow closed down the entire thing.
I was trying to write in the chat.
Hello. Are we back?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yes. Let me just check that where we left. Is the slide still visible to you or no?
No, sir. Slides are gone.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
let me just again come back to that. Something.
Sir, it's visible now.
Visible? Am I at the slide?
Yes.
The slide where we left, we are there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir.
any questions up to this point? Any other question, please? Okay. If there are no questions, let us move forward. See, as far as business research is concerned, there are boundaries, for example, and we have to see to it that, what all is included in this. See, if, for example, we are carrying out research in general management area, so it can be related to forecasting, it can be related, for example, to identify industry and business trends, it can be, for example, scanning the domestic and international business environment. So this all will come under general management area. Then research can be in marketing management area. For example, we are trying to find out, see, the market potential, the market share, segmentation studies, positioning studies, studies which are trying to find out that which kind of product should be offered to the market. Once the product is offered to the market, whether it is being accepted by the market or not, what kind of feedback is there, what issues the target consumers are facing. So product acceptance research, advertising effectiveness research. So we go for pre-testing, post-testing. For example, before launch of a new campaign, we carry out research. After that new promotional message or that campaign has been launched, has been used by us. After some time, we carry out studies to find out how effective that campaign was. Then consumer behavior studies can be carried out, consumer satisfaction studies can be carried out, studies which help us in deciding the sales quotas, deciding from the point of view of territories, how territories should be decided, how distribution channels should be, for example, designed. So all these, if we are carrying out, they will come under marketing management area. Then, as far as financial management area is concerned, we can carry out, researches which try to tell us that about the interest rates, about mergers and acquisitions, about credit risk analysis, ROI, that is, return on investments, risk and return analysis, expected rate of return, cost analysis research, portfolio analysis research, and so on. Now, when we talk of research in HRM and OB area, so it can be, for example, to implement TQM, total quality management systems in an organization, identifying leadership styles, how effective each of these styles are, job satisfaction studies, motivation, job motivation, motivation research, then research from the point of view of absenteeism, why your organization is facing high turnover, research to improve the communication. Now, this is a very interesting and emerging area to improve organizational communication. Then researches which try to delve into the employee productivity, the climate as far as the organizations are concerned. And remember that these are also very relevant from the point of view of those organizations which are operating in different countries of the world, because they have some very interesting and peculiar problems, because people from different cultures, when they come together, so very interesting issues, they crop up, and they have to be effectively handled by the organizations. And of course, we can do it once we carry out researches and we try to address those problems. Then research in the operations management area or information management area, it can be for locating the plant, for productivity, for enterprise resource planning, for data analysis. So these are the very interesting, areas in which studies are being done by the researchers. Both, they can be applied or they can be basic. So depending upon the purpose of the study, if it is to expand the body of knowledge, we will categorize that as, basic research. If it is for the purpose of solving a problem which a particular organization is facing, then it will be categorized as applied research. Any comments, any questions up to this point? Yes, please. In a minute or two, we'll be breaking off. Any questions you have?
So can we opt research as a career?
Yes, in fact, nowadays you must have heard of a particular area, data mining. Have you heard of it?
Yes, sir.
So that is also part of research. So you can opt for research. In fact, a number of students from our department, they have opted for this. A number of my research scholars, they are currently, for example, in this consultancy work. So what they are doing is that they have their own research organizations, and they are in fact doing a lot of research activity for which they're getting paid. Again, there is some kind of takeover by Kasif.
So how is consulting different from the research, since both of them find the solution of any specific problem?
It is basically, when we say consultant, remember, consultant also advises you from the point of view of problems which you are facing or the opportunities which may arise in the future. So consultant basically is carrying out an activity which is similar to what a researcher does. Is it not? What, for example, when you are, Kasif, when you are saying consultant, basically what do you expect from a consultant? Sorry.
To find the problem, solution of the problem.
So
Given
and remember that what exactly we have been discussing, that what a researcher does is that researcher helps us in solving problems, for example, from the point of view of applied research. This is what we were discussing, that if an organization is facing a problem, what the organization does is that it commissions a study. Now, once it commissions a research study, the researcher comes into picture, and the researcher tries to understand the problem by discussing it with the management or the management team, and tries to crystallize it, commit it to writing. And once the objectives are clear, then the researcher proceeds forward. So a consultant, similarly, what he or she does is that the consultant interacts in depth with the people in the organization, and they for example, discuss the problems which they're facing or which may likely arise in future. And based upon that, what the consultant is expected to do is to provide solutions to those problems. So basically what, there is a convergence here. The terminology that we're using to refer to these two entities may be different, consultant and researcher, but consultant also would be, of course, carrying out some research so as to help solve the problem which the organization is facing. So you can't avoid and you can't short circuit this. You cannot in fact find solutions most of the time for the problems which organizations are facing without carrying out research. Now I'm talking from the point of view of applied research. Applied research most of the time requires research, and the researchers in fact charge lots of money for carrying out the research activity so that your problem can be addressed. Yes,
Sir,
please.
is feasibility study a part of research, business research?
Yes, it will be part depending upon the objectives. Of course, most of the time when you're saying feasibility study, suppose it is related to setting up of a plant somewhere. I hope is it in line with what you are thinking?
Yes, sir, like as in setting up a new business or before starting any.
Yes, that will of course be part of it. In fact, that will be part of strategic decision making. This is, if you recall, this is what we discussed initially, that what do strategic decisions entail? There what happens is that they have a long-term impact on the organization itself. This is what, if you recall, we were discussing. That is strategic decisions. See, let me just bring it on the before you. See, this is what we discussed. Strategic decisions, they have a long-range impact. They have, long-term implications, and the success or failure of a firm depends on it. So feasibility studies, for example, I shared with you that where to set up a plant in a country. First of all, let us decide that in which country we'll be setting up the plant. Then we have to decide that in which part of the country we'll be setting up the plant, because you will agree that all the states or all the regions of a country may not be equally endowed as far as natural resources are concerned. Suppose you want to set up a plant where some kind of natural resource is required. So you will of course like to set up that particular plant or that facility, first of all, in a country which is rich as far as that natural resource is concerned, and secondly, in that region of the country where minimum of transportation is required. I hope you agree.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions, please? Then we'll be breaking off. And before we break off, let me just again have a brief idea regarding what is the scenario as far as your attendance is concerned. If anybody is having any technical issues as far as accessing this platform is concerned, you can separately contact me through. I will in fact encourage that if you post the message or whatever problem you faced on the WhatsApp group, so that others also, if they're facing similar problems, maybe solution may be shared by one of the members in the group other than me. I will welcome that. And in case we are not able to solve, maybe I'll contact the technical team of the university.
Sir, do we have to write our names in the chat box for attendance?
No, I think just let me just check that what is the situation right now as far as your just a moment. Okay. I think when you were entering this particular platform, you must have given, because your names are visible to me right now. So you must have given your name somewhere. It asks. This is what I could find out from the interface, that what's your name. So you must have entered your name somewhere. So that is the name that would be appearing to me on in the attendance file. Okay, let me just check what is happening right now. Yes, it is. Some of you joined, some of you left, some of you came back again. So your names are there, but it's very interesting. Joining, leaving, joining, leaving. But I don't know whether it's a technical issue right today or some other issue, and that is why I'm asking that if there are any issues, please share with me.
Actually, I was removed. Sir,
no, I didn't. Who's speaking right now? Varis?
Yes, sir. I was removed by someone, sir. Can you please check this issue that I was removed by someone from the class?
Okay, Varis, I'll check it. I did not remove it. I can promise you, I will not be removing anybody once you join. So there was perhaps some technical issue. I'll just try to find out that how could somebody remove you. Okay. So let us break. Thank you very much. We'll be meeting again in, tomorrow. Thank you. If you have any questions related to today's interaction, you are welcome. You can post, or you can have those queries tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.